Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the brain dead. I mean, they're turning people into zombies, and it's amazing. I talk to some people who say that literally this state has gone down, or that this community has really turned and changed, and all the good people and all the aware people are gone, and now there's only zombies walking around, and people that just really are kind of under their control, and these different programs, these projects that are protected by the three-letter organizations are so profoundly disturbing. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough couple of years, but I have no doubts. I mean, when I really feel the future, I don't feel any fear. I don't feel any doom. That Lakota thing that you just said just rings strong, and I've just always felt, from even when I was a child, just the demise is going to be powerful, and it's just going to swallow itself up, and we're dealing with something that's an organism that has a consciousness that does not want this on its body, and it has the power to shake it off, but it's very patient. I mean, Mother Earth is very patient. It could just say enough already and destroy everything and start over. It could just create a huge catastrophe and just wipe it all clean, but there's this profound compassion in Mother Earth and this desire to have us wake up and have us change the game and stay on this Mother Earth. And I also, and a lot of people have been saying this lately, but this whole mitosis of this whole higher Earth splitting off. And then we have, the Venus transits that are leading to the 2012 shift where Venus, Earth, and the Sun will all be aligned and things will come into balance. And that point in which everything's in balance, like we know a healthy organism that's in balance, is able to eject all the poisons and all the disease and all that's wrong. And so we have so much on our side, cosmically speaking, and just, nature alone and just what we're born with, just that spirit connection, our true divine blueprint.
Yeah.
And that's all on our side. So, this is just a temporary major issue, but it's definitely not going to last. And Mother Earth, we're very connected to. It's like there's an umbilical cord, not only galactically, but to the Earth Mother herself. And it's not going to stand for this. It's just nobody in their right mind would stand for an abusive relationship, or some people get locked into it. But I mean, really, awakening happens when you're messed with. And so, like you said, when people start to realize how corrupt and disgusting and wrong this is, that rage, once that awakening happens, there's no hope. And I don't mean to be redundant.
It has to be personal.
What's that?
What I see is it has to be personal before people do something about it. As long as they have their TV and their SUV and their football game and their beer, they're just going to keep going, as long as that paycheck's there. But all of a sudden, people lost their house, and they lost their TV and their paycheck and everything else. And they're going, wait a second, how'd this happen, And everybody else is going, you weren't paying attention. That's how it happened.
Right, and they're not going to have much to fall back on because people are living on this stuff. And, there's no compassion because those corporations don't think in terms of family or security. It's all about money, and it's all about, as long as you're a slave, you'll be fed. You'll be given what you want and need. But the minute, you step out of line a little bit, things start to happen. And, it's very hard to earn a living and exist when you're a truth teller. I mean, it's just not something that, is very well supported. Those in power do not like it, and they will make life as hard as they possibly can. But at the same time, like I said, they're creating a monster. Not a monster, but the strength that has developed because of it is pretty profound. And, I mean, the thing is, the same thing happens with children that are going to church, and they find out their son or child got molested, and, or the vaccine that their child had, caused an ailment. And, unless it's personal, it's absolutely true. People aren't really going to do anything about it, and they want to be in denial as long as they're given their toys and they're being fed and everything's fine, or if it happens to a family member. And we find this, with, people getting cured for cancer, and it's amazing when people can come forward and say, well, I cured it alternatively, or, and even if they don't, they tune into a higher power because they were faced with that challenge. I mean, everybody has a profound spiritual experience when there's adversity. It doesn't matter how they handle it. But there's always something to be said for the power of the human spirit when faced with the injustices and the fact that they personally got affected. And those that, have wisdom can get through it and get to the other side. But, there's nothing that they can do because they're causing the awakening by being so corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just amazing how,
like
in their attempt to destroy everything, they're
gas.
waking everything up. So, in a sense, we do know they're a catalyst.
Yeah, they're throwing gas on the fire, basically, and that's what I see. All these things with these bills they're passing, and the TSA, and all these other things. It's just they're just throwing more gas on the fire, and they're just, it's almost like they want to be punished or something. I don't know. They're self-defeating, or they want to create, what do they call that? A police state, or things like that. But I think a lot of the police, and what I've seen, even a lot of the sheriffs are going, you know what? I'm not going to participate in this program, and some of the sheriffs said we are not going to serve these orders, these foreclosures, and so, a lot of people are waking up and just saying, we're not going to participate, and I think that's what really needs to happen is people need to see who they're working for, who's giving them the orders, and then make a decision on are they going to serve the beast, or are they going to be a part of the awakening and healing process and join the new or the upward spiral, where people live in harmony with each other and the planet. And we're all being given that choice right now, and the two options are right in your face. You can't miss them anymore. I
know, and most of these corrupt corporations and a lot of the LAPD and Michael Rupert, I think was his name, who realized that they were doing illegal drug trades and stuff like that. He stood up against it, and a lot of people are afraid. They have families, they need money, but at the end of the day, what is more worth it to you is going to come up, and it's important to have backup plans. And unfortunately, they're creating laws that make our backup plans very difficult. And this is why in this next year or two, I'm really going to get into the core of all of this and kind of jump in and stir things up and make us think, because it's just wrong, and I just feel I have to, and so it's just disturbing beyond measure, and I just really know that it's not anything to buy into for the sake of security, because in the end it has no strong foundation whatsoever, and the government itself, and I mean the royalty, anything that anybody looks up to is usually, oh my gosh, the whole reptilian thing and all the rituals, all the dark rituals are all about invoking power for the sake of having power and having control. There's such a strong hatred to the concept of surrender, to the concept of humility, to the concept of equality, that people can only really feel powerful if they have an identity, or they have some sort of wealth, or they have some kind of thing, and they're willing to do anything for that. And they'll sell their children to those programs in those, ritualistic type ways, just to keep their bloodlines in power, because they can't stand the concept of being sort of transparent or being a person like everybody else, but they don't realize the beauty in that. They don't realize how much more powerful and profound it is to just surrender to nature and be in more simplicity. And the abuse of that power is what causes the distribution of wealth to be so whacked. And, it's all for some and none for others. And it's just, and it's just amazing what they do, the extents that they go to keep that power going. It's not, some lucky thing they're born with. I mean, it is done in really sick ways, the way they get power. And they use the free energy of creation. The goddess is free energy, and all these technologies mimic it, and all these treaties with aliens are about us thinking that we need something from them, and really we don't. But it's all this sort of deception that we're just sort of this lower race of beings, and we need help, we need technologies, we need all of this, and we really are beyond technology. We hold in our DNA profound abilities, and we're completely being deceived on every level. And so these lower alien races are feeding off of this and our fear, and but there's so much support, of course, from higher races, angelic beings, higher realms, and it's so wonderful that you're so connected with all of that. But yeah, it's so sad how this other scenario going on. But evolution's alchemical, and this is just one small part of the journey. And once it's over and done with, we have just begun. This is a gestation period, really, and we can't let it completely bring us down, because that's the whole idea. That's their wish, is that they want to break our spirit because the spirit is more powerful than them, and they know it, and they hate it. They envy it.
And that's what I think all these programs are, especially the TSA programs, where they just like totally grope you and subject you to radiation and naked, and it's all just to humiliate you and desensitize you and just turn you into a submissive sheep. And it goes on and on with all these other programs as well, and they are very threatened by somebody standing in their own power and saying, hey, look, I'm here to empower people, not overpower people, and I focus on love and joy and bliss, and I want to live in harmony with each other and the planet, so what's your problem? And people that bring that to the table are very threatening to these groups.
Yep. And I can't wait to piss them off more, because that's exactly what, who wants the ultimate, it's no fun. I don't know why there's such a desire for it. It's obviously a different mentality. I think there's nothing more wonderful than empowering others, and just like when a person has wealth, it's important to share it. It's important, if you have food, to give to those that are hungry. Can you imagine if you were hanging out in a village and everybody wasn't eating and you were stuffing your face? It's just like, we're a global family. We have to take care of each other. We have resources spiritually, so we need to help awaken others. The whole point is, when you have a lot of something, it's a resource that should be shared. And, within reason, of course. And, that's just not the way.
There's no lack.
What's that?
Well, there is no lack. It's all manufactured. If you look at the bounty of nature, I always say that, one kernel of corn will grow a stalk, with either 2 ears or at least 1 ear with 500 kernels on it. And that's the exponential abundance of nature. And there never is a lack. There never was a lack. Nature is so abundant, and this whole lack program is manufactured. And we shouldn't be without food, or everybody should have a home. We should be living on a pristine planet with fuelless energy and all these other technologies. There's no reason why every person could not have all their energy and transportation needs met, as well as food and housing.
And that's the problem. That's what these dark rituals and the secrecy of all these important technologies, and the secrecy of the whole UFO thing, and the secrecy of, Sophia and the divine feminine and the goddess. It's like everything that's been kept secret are the things that we need, that they're using, but they're not using in the right way. And, what we're left with is this duality and this crazy imbalance, when really it is manufactured, what I like to call the false matrix. You take all that away, and all the needs are met. We're born to Mother Earth to be taken care of. That's what it's all about. That's our birthright. And this kind of off-planet agenda has come in total envy, and it's the archons, I call them, as do others. And it's created this false system. But they really only have the tool that they use the most is the mind, the deception, and of course, the poisons are very damaging to the DNA, and it weakens our mind, and it's just, you put the two together, and it's very disturbing. And I have found that as much as I've been exposed to that sort of stuff growing up, in order to escape it, it's like you have to die a bunch of times. You really literally have to die and rebirth yourself constantly just to get through all the layers and sort of strengthen your system to be stronger than all the agents they're trying to destroy with. And so, and that's what's really important, about what we share with each other, is really how to escape and get out of it through the resources within our higher nature, and realizing that not just these technologies that have been kept secret and these dark rituals that they're doing in order to keep themselves in power, that there's a powerful force within ourselves that has been kept secret from us. And when we start to tap into that vibration has, the capability of creating miracles. And that's why folks like Christ and other profound spiritual leaders always made it clear to people that we have that too. This is not about somebody more special than the other. It's about the fact that we have the ability to put our hands on something and actually change it. We can turn things to gold, and once we realize that, then we can actually touch a poison and touch an illness and transform it, and not wait around for, this false system to crumble. We can start to embody it now and actually change our physical world through just the power of our higher abilities. So, that is something and we do have that. So if all else fails, we really just need to